The void of space rippled and tore as a massive wormhole ripped into existence, its swirling energies casting an eerie glow across the star-studded backdrop. From its maw emerged a behemoth of a ship, its hull scared and pitted from battles unknown. The HSS Thunderchild, humanity's first interstellar dreadnought, had arrived at the fringes of the Galactic Coalition's territory. As the wormhole collapsed behind it, the Thunderchild's sensors came alive, detecting a flurry of activity in the surrounding space. Sleek, almost organic-looking ships of various sizes and configurations rapidly approached, their designs a stark contrast to the utilitarian bulk of the human vessel. On the bridge of the Thunderchild, Captain Sarah Chen stood tall, her weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. She watched calmly as the alien vessels took up positions around her ship, their formation clearly defensive yet bordering on hostile. Communications Officer Rodriguez, hail the alien fleet, Chen ordered, her voice steady and confident. Let's introduce ourselves properly. Rodriguez nodded, his fingers dancing across his console. Channel open, Captain. They're receiving. Chen cleared her throat and spoke clearly. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the human spaceship Thunderchild. We come in peace, seeking diplomatic relations with the Galactic Coalition. For a moment, silence reigned. Then a burst of alien chatter filled the bridge, a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and guttural sounds that the ship's AI struggled to translate in real time. Finally, a single voice rose above the rest, speaking in broken but understandable English. Human vessel, this is High Commander HFY of the Galactic Coalition Defense Force. Your presence here is unexpected. Chen could hear the barely concealed disdain in the alien's voice. High Commander, we appreciate your welcome. The people of Earth extend their hand in friendship and look forward to peaceful relations with your coalition. A harsh, barking sound that might have been laughter echoed through the speakers. Friendship, peace. You arrive in our territory unannounced, in a vessel that appears to be held together by primitive welding and hope. What could you possibly offer the coalition? The bridge crew exchanged glances, a mixture of anger and amusement on their faces. They'd expected some resistance, but outright mockery. Chen's expression remained neutral. I assure you, High Commander, appearances can be deceiving. We have much to offer in terms of scientific knowledge, cultural exchange, and mutual defense. Mutual defense. HFY's tone dripped with sarcasm. Tell me, Captain Chen, what do you call that spacefaring scrapheap you've arrived in? This scrapheap is the HSS Thunderchild, High Commander. I'd be happy to give you a tour if you'd like a closer look, Chen replied, a hint of steel entering her voice. As the verbal sparring continued, a young physic ensign named Kralvor aboard the lead coalition ship found his attention drawn to his sensor readings. The energy signatures emanating from the Thunderchild were odd, fluctuating in ways he'd never seen before, hinting at power sources far beyond what the ship's appearance would suggest. Sir, Kralvor chittered nervously to his superior, a grizzled physic veteran named Dreadnought. I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from the human vessel. Perhaps we should. Dreadnought cut him off with a dismissive wave of his upper appendage. Silence, youngling. Can't you see the High Commander is busy putting these primaries in their place? Your sensors are clearly malfunctioning. Run a diagnostic and stop bothering me with nonsense. Chastised, Kralvor turned back to his console, but he couldn't shake the feeling that they were all missing something important. Back on the Thunderchild, Chen's second-in-command, Commander Alexandra Volkov, leaned in close. Captain, they're scanning us extensively. Should we raise shields? Chen shook her head almost imperceptibly. Not yet, Alexandra. Let them look. They'll only see what we want them to see, for now. The alien scans washed over the Thunderchild, penetrating its outer hull, but falling short of its true secrets. To the coalition observers, the human ship appeared to be exactly what they assumed. A clumsy attempt at interstellar travel by a species barely out of its cosmic cradle. High Commander Zegsivrik's voice crackled over the comms once more. Captain Chen, we have completed our analysis of your vessel. I must say, I'm astounded you made it this far without your ship falling apart around you. Clearly, you humans are either very brave or very foolish, perhaps both. Chen allowed herself a small smile. We prefer to think of ourselves as resourceful, High Commander. Now, shall we discuss the possibility of opening diplomatic relations? We have much to learn from each other, I'm sure. Learn from you? Zegsivrik scoffed. What could we possibly learn from a species that builds its ships as if they were constructing primitive ocean-going vessels? No, Captain Chen, I think not. You will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. We cannot allow such a dangerous construct to roam freely in our territory. For your own safety, of course. The bridge of the Thunderchild fell silent, all eyes turning to Captain Chen. Her face hardened, the friendly diplomat replaced by a seasoned warrior. I'm afraid I can't comply with that order. High Commander, we came here in peace, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. Zegsivrik's response was immediate and harsh. You dare to threaten the Galactic Coalition. Your arrogance knows no bounds. Human. Perhaps a demonstration of our power will help you understand your situation. Without warning, a brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the Lid Coalition ship, striking the Thunderchild's port side. The human crew braced for impact, but instead of an explosion, they felt only a slight tremor. On the Coalition ships, disbelief reigned. Where they had expected to see a gaping hole in the primitive hull, there was only a slight scorch mark. Kralvor's sensors went wild, registering a massive energy spike that faded almost as quickly as it had appeared. Impossible, Zegsivrik muttered, his many eyes wide with shock. Captain Chen's voice, calm as ever, filled the stunned silence. I would advise against further hostile actions, High Commander. As I said, appearances can be deceiving. Now, shall we return to our discussion of peaceful diplomacy, or do you require further proof of our capabilities? As the aliens struggled to comprehend what they had just witnessed, the crew of the Thunderchild remained at their stations, tense but ready. They had trained for this moment, prepared for every contingency. The true nature of their ship, the culmination of humanity's greatest technological achievements, remained hidden beneath its scared and unassuming exterior. The stage was set. First contact had been made, and the aliens' derision had sown the seeds of their own astonishment. As both sides warily eyed each other across the starry divide, one thing became clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. The tense standoff between the HSS Thunderchild and the Galactic Coalition fleet stretched into its third hour. On the bridge of the human vessel, Captain Sarah Chen maintained her composure, her dark eyes fixed on the main viewscreen displaying the array of alien ships surrounding them. Status report, Chen commanded, her voice cutting through the low hum of bridge activity. Commander Volkov responded promptly. All systems nominal, Captain. Shield integrity at 98% after that little love tap they gave us. Weapons are hot but dormant. Chen nodded, a ghost of a smile playing at her lips. Good. Let's hope we don't need to use them. On the Coalition flagship, High Commander Zegsivrik seethed with a mixture of fury and bewilderment. His most trusted advisors huddled around him, chittering and buzzing in their native tongues. It's impossible, exclaimed his chief scientist, a spindly creature named Velmarch. Our scans show nothing but primitive metals and basic power systems. That beam should have torn through their hull like plasma through vapor. Zegsivrik's appendages twitched in agitation. Clearly, our scans are being deceived. These humans are more cunning than we anticipated. He turned to his weapons officer. Prepare a full barrage. We'll strip away whatever trickery they're using and expose their true weakness. Back on the Thunderchild, alarms blared as the Coalition ships began to move into attack formation. Chen's eyes narrowed as she assessed the situation. Looks like diplomacy is off the table for now, she muttered. Tactical, give me options. Lieutenant Commander Hiroshi Tanaka, the ship's tactical officer, responded crisply. "We have multiple choices, Captain. We could raise our primary shields, which would likely survive their barrage but would reveal more of our capabilities than we might want. Alternatively, we could use our point defense systems to intercept their weapons fire or employ evasive maneuvers to minimize damage." Chen considered for a moment. "Let's split the difference. Engage secondary shields and begin evasive pattern Delta 3. Let's see how they react to a moving target." As Chen issued her orders, the young physic ensign Kralvor watched his sensor readings with growing alarm. The human ship's energy signature was fluctuating wildly, hinting at power levels far beyond anything his training had prepared him for. "Sir," he chittered urgently to his superior, "Drakthar, the human vessel is." "Silence." Drakthar snapped. "The attack is commencing. Watch and learn how we deal with upstart species, youngling." The Coalition fleet opened fire, a dazzling array of energy beams and projectiles streaking across space towards the Thunderchild. To the alien's shock, the human ship began to move with unexpected agility, its bulky form belying a swiftness that defied logic. Many of the Coalition's shots went wide, streaking harmlessly into the void. Those that did connect were met with a shimmering energy field that flickered into visibility upon impact, absorbing or deflecting the incoming fire. On the Thunderchild's bridge, the crew worked with practiced efficiency, their months of drills paying off. Chen stood at the center, calling out orders and adjustments as the ship danced through space, avoiding the worst of the alien assault. "Damage report," Chen called out as a particularly heavy blast rocked the ship. "Minor damage to decks 15 through 18, reported Chief Engineer Malcolm Fraser, his Scottish brogue thick with excitement. "Nothing the repair drones can't handle. Those beasties out there pack a wallop, but our girls are holding strong." Chen allowed herself a moment of pride in her ship and crew before refocusing on the battle at hand. "Comms, hail the Coalition flagship. Let's see if we can talk some sense into them before this gets out of hand." As Rodriguez worked to establish communication, a new threat emerged. A sleek, predatory-looking ship broke formation from the Coalition fleet, accelerating rapidly towards the Thunderchild. "Captain," Tanaka warned, "we've got a bogey on an intercept course. Energy readings suggest they're powering up some sort of short-range, high-intensity weapon." Chen's eyes hardened. "Looks like someone's looking to be a hero. Tanaka, prepare a warning shot across their bow. Use the conventional railguns. Let's not show all our cards just yet." The rogue alien ship, commanded by an ambitious Drekton captain named Korzeth, closed in on the Thunderchild. Korzeth's mandibles clicked in anticipation as he prepared to unleash his ship's secret weapon, a prototype matter disruptor cannon that could theoretically tear apart the atomic bonds of any material. "Today, we show these primitive humans the true might of the Coalition." Korzeth bellowed to his crew. "Fire the disruptor on my mark. 3, 2, on." His countdown was interrupted as a hypersonic projectile from the Thunderchild's railgun streaked past his ship's bow, missing by mere meters. The shock wave rattled the alien vessel, causing consternation among its crew. "Impossible," Korzeth hissed. "How did they target us so precisely at this speed?" On the Thunderchild, Chen watched the alien ship's approach with growing concern. That warning shot didn't seem to dissuade them. "Tanaka." Analysis of their weapons. Tanaka's fingers flew over his console. "It's like nothing we've seen before, Captain. If I had to guess, I'd say it's designed to attack matter at a subatomic level. Our conventional shields might not hold against it." Chen's mind raced through the options. They had hoped to conceal the Thunderchild's true capabilities for as long as possible, but it seemed that hand was about to be forced. "Rodriguez, any luck hailing the Coalition flagship?" "Negative, Captain. They're ignoring our transmissions." Chen took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "All right then. Tanaka, power up the Aegis system." Authorization, Chen Alpha 79er. A ripple of excitement passed through the bridge crew. The Aegis system was the Thunderchild's ace in the hole, a revolutionary defense technology that could reshape the very fabric of space-time around the ship. As Korzeth's ship closed to firing range, its matter disruptor cannon glowing with ominous energy, the Thunderchild seemed to shimmer and distort. The alien beam lanced out, aimed directly at the human vessel's heart. But instead of the expected devastation, the beam seemed to bend and warp around the Thunderchild, as if the space around the ship had turned to liquid. The disruptor energy dissipated harmlessly into the void, leaving the human ship untouched. Silence fell across both fleets as the implications of what they'd just witnessed sank in. On the Coalition flagship, High Commander Zegzivrik stared at his view screen in disbelief. "By the cosmic egg," he whispered, his earlier bravado evaporating like mist. "What manner of ship is this?" As if in answer to his question, Captain Chen's voice boomed across all frequencies, her tone firm but not unkind. "Coalition fleet, this is your final warning. The HSS Thunderchild possesses defensive and offensive capabilities far beyond what you've witnessed here. We did not come to fight, but we will defend ourselves with all necessary force. I urge you to stand down and return to diplomatic channels before this conflict escalates further. The choice and the consequences are yours." As her words faded, the Thunderchild's hull began to shift and change, panels sliding away to reveal rows of weapon ports that had been invisible moments before. The once derided spacefaring Scraffy now bristled with an arsenal that made the Coalition ships look like toys in comparison. The battle hung in the balance, with the next move belonging to the increasingly uncertain alien fleet. The true nature of humanity's first interstellar dreadnought was beginning to be revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same. The vastness of space seemed to hold its breath as the HSS Thunderchild and the Galactic Coalition fleet faced each other in a tense standoff. Captain Sarah Chen's ultimatum hung in the air, a gauntlet thrown down before an increasingly bewildered alien force. On the bridge of the Thunderchild, Chen stood resolute, her eyes scanning the tactical displays. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Commander Volka responded promptly. "All systems are green, Captain. Aegis defense grid is holding stable, and our weapon systems are fully operational but dormant. The crew is at battle stations, awaiting your orders." Chen nodded, her mind racing through potential scenarios. "Keep our weapons powered down for now. Let's see how they respond to our show of force." Across the void on the Coalition flagship, chaos reigned. High Commander Zegzivrik's command center was awash with frantic chatter as his advisors argued over their next move. "We should retreat and regroup," insisted his chief strategist, a hulking Bractal named Gorn. "These humans have technology we don't understand. We need time to analyze and adapt." "Retreat? Preposterous," countered Velmar, the chief scientist. "This is our chance to study their capabilities up close. We must press the attack and capture that ship." Zexivrik's multiple eyes blinked rapidly as he processed the conflicting advice. Finally, he slammed a tentacle down on his command console. "Enough. We are the Galactic Coalition. We do not cower before lesser species, no matter what tricks they may possess." He turned to his communications officer. "Hail the human vessel. Let's see if their captain's resolve is as strong as her ship's hull." Back on the Thunderchild, Rodriguez's console lit up. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Coalition flagship." On screen, Chen ordered, straightening her uniform. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing High Commander Zexivrik's alien visage. His chidness face was unreadable to human eyes, but his tone carried a mixture of anger and grudging respect. "Captain Chen," Zexivrik began, "your ship has indeed proven impressive. But do not think that a few technological surprises will force the Galactic Coalition to bend to your will. We have faced and overcome challenges far greater than one human vessel." Chen's expression remained neutral. "High Commander, I assure you that our goal is not to bend anyone to our will. We came seeking peaceful contact and mutually beneficial relations. It was your aggression that forced us to reveal even this small fraction of our capabilities. HFY's mandibles clicked in agitation. Small fraction. You expect me to believe that you have even more hidden away in that oversized hauler of yours. A small smile played at the corner of Chen's lips. High Commander, what you've seen so far is merely the Thunderchild in its dormant state. I strongly advise against pushing us to fully awaken her. As if on cue, alarms blared across both fleets. On the coalition ships, sensors screamed as they detected a massive energy surge emanating from the Thunderchild. The human vessel's hull began to glow with an eerie blue light, pulsing like a awakening heartbeat. Krelvor, the young physic ensign who had been monitoring the Thunderchild since its arrival, practically leaped from his seat. "Sir," he chittered urgently to Drakthar, "the human ship, it's changing." This time, Drakthar didn't dismiss his subordinate. His own console was alight with warnings and readouts he could scarcely comprehend. "By the cosmic egg," he whispered, "what is happening?" On the Thunderchild's bridge, Chen took a deep breath. The moment she had trained for, the reason this ship had been built, was upon them. "It seems the Coalition needs one final demonstration," she said quietly. Then, raising her voice, she issued the command they had all been waiting for. "Initiate Lazarus Protocol. Authorization." Chen Omega Phoenix rising. The ship's AI responded immediately, its usual monotone tinged with what almost sounded like excitement. Lazarus Protocol initiated. Commencing full system awakening, the Thunderchild's transformation was a sight to behold. Its hull, once scared and pitted, began to ripple and flow like liquid metal. The damage sustained during the earlier skirmish seemed to melt away, leaving pristine surfaces in its wake. Panels that had appeared to be solid metal peeled back, revealing intricate arrays of sensors and weapon systems, far beyond anything the Coalition had ever encountered. The ship seemed to grow, expanding as hidden compartments and structures unfolded from within. In the engine section, massive vents opened, revealing a pulsing core of energy that defied conventional physics. The Thunderchild's power output skyrocketed, surpassing the combined energy signatures of the entire Coalition fleet. Inside the ship, the crew watched in awe as their vessel underwent its metamorphosis. They had trained in simulations, been briefed on what to expect, but seeing it happen in reality was something else entirely. Chief Engineer Fraser's voice came over the comm, thick with emotion. "She's beautiful, Captain. All systems are coming online faster than we ever managed in the trials. The Thunderchild is singing, and she's ready for anything those beasties out there might throw at us." Chen allowed herself a moment of pride before refocusing on the task at hand. "Excellent work, Malcolm. Tactical, give me a full report on our combat readiness." Tanaka's fingers danced across his console, his eyes wide, as he processed the influx of data. "Captain, we're at full combat capacity. Point defense grid is online. Adaptive shielding is at 200% efficiency, and our primary weapons, well, let's just say we could take on a small fleet with power to spare." "Let's hope it doesn't come to that," Chen replied grimly. "Hail the Coalition flagship. Let's see if they're ready to talk now." As Rodriguez worked to establish communication, the Coalition fleet was in disarray. Ships were breaking formation, some moving to attack positions while others began to retreat. The Thunderchild's transformation had shattered their confidence and their unified front. High Commander Zegzevrik stared at the tactical display, his mind struggling to process what he was seeing. The human ship now dwarfed his own vessel, its energy readings off the charts. For the first time in his long military career, Zegzevrik felt a cold tendril of fear creep down his spine. "Sir," his communications officer interrupted, "the human captain is hailing us." Zegzevrik steeled himself. "On screen," he ordered, trying to keep the tremor out of his voice. Captain Chen's face appeared before him, her expression stern but not unkind. "High Commander Zegzevrik," she began, "as you can see, the HSS Thunderchild is now fully awakened. I ask you again, Are you prepared to stand down and discuss peace, or must this conflict escalate further? The alien commander's many eyes blinked rapidly as he considered his options. The mighty galactic coalition, terror of 1,000 star systems, faced a choice it had never encountered before. Submit to a species they had dismissed as primitive, or risk annihilation at the hands of a technological marvel they could barely comprehend. As Zivrik opened his mandibles to respond, the fate of 2 civilizations, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. The Thunderchild had awakened, and the universe would never be the same again. The silence that followed Captain Chen's ultimatum seemed to stretch into eternity. The fully awakened Thunderchild loomed over the Coalition fleet, its presence a testament to humanity's ingenuity and the folly of underestimating an unknown species. High Commander Zivrik's mandibles clicked nervously as he weighed his options. Pride warred with self-preservation in his alien mind. Finally, he spoke, his voice tight with suppressed emotion. Captain Chen, your ship is indeed impressive. Perhaps we were hasty in our initial assessment of your species. I propose an immediate cessation of hostilities and... Zivrik's words were cut short as a blinding beam of energy lanced past the Thunderchild, narrowly missing its port side. Alarms blared across both fleets as all eyes turned to the source of the attack. The rogue Drektin ship, commanded by the ambitious Captain Korzeth, had broken formation and opened fire. Korzeth's voice boomed across all frequencies, filled with a mixture of fear and bravado. Coalition warriors, do not be fooled by this human trickery. Strike now while their defenses are reconfiguring. For the glory of the Galactic Coalition. Chen's eyes narrowed as she assessed the new threat. So much for diplomacy, she muttered. Then, raising her voice, she issued her commands. Tactical, target that rogue ship. Comms, warn off the rest of the fleet. Let's try to contain this. But Korzeth's action had shattered the fragile truce. Whether driven by fear, loyalty, or sheer bloodlust, other coalition ships began to open fire. The void of space lit up with a dazzling array of energy weapons and projectiles, all converging on the Thunderchild. Evasive maneuvers, Chen ordered. Tactical, you are clear to return fire. Target weapons and propulsion systems only. Let's show them what we can do without destroying their entire fleet. The Thunderchild moved with a grace that belied its massive size. It pirouetted through space, its adaptive shielding flickering as it deflected the incoming barrage. Where once the Coalition's weapons had posed a threat, they now seemed like mere firecrackers against the Thunderchild's defenses. Lieutenant Commander Tanaka's hands flew over his console, directing the Thunderchild's counterattack. Firing solution ready, Captain. Engaging with precision strikes. From the Thunderchild's weapon ports, a series of blindingly fast projectiles erupted. These were no ordinary shells, but highly advanced, eye-guided munitions capable of adjusting their trajectory mid-flight. They streaked towards the Coalition ships, effortlessly evading point defense systems. The results were devastating. Ship after ship found its weapons suddenly offline, or its engines sputtering and dying. The Thunderchild's attack had effectively neutered half the Coalition fleet in a matter of seconds, without destroying a single vessel. On the Coalition flagship, panic reigned. High Commander Zivrik struggled to maintain order as damage reports flooded in from across his fleet. How? He chittered in disbelief. How can one ship do this? The young ensign Kralvor, who had been monitoring the Thunderchild since its arrival, spoke up. Sir, I've been analyzing their attack pattern. It's beautiful. Each shot is perfectly calculated to disable rather than destroy. They could have annihilated us, but they're showing restraint. Zivrik turned his many eyes on the young physic, seeing him in a new light. What do you suggest, Ensign? Kralvor's antennae quivered with excitement at being addressed directly by the High Commander. Sir, I believe our best course of action is tow. His words were cut short as the ship rocked violently. Captain Korzeth's vessel, still largely intact, had launched a desperate attack on the Coalition flagship. Fools! Korzeth's voice crackled over the comm. If you won't fight, then I'll destroy these humans myself, even if I have to go through you to do it." Back on the Thunderchild, Chen watched the unfolding chaos with a mixture of frustration and resolve. "Looks like we got a real problem child out there," she muttered. "Tactical, focus fire on Korzeth's ship. Let's take him out of the equation." The Thunderchild's main cannon, a marvel of human engineering that harnessed the power of artificial singularities, hummed to life. A ball of swirling dark energy formed at its tip, growing rapidly in size and intensity. "Graviton cannon charged and ready, Captain," Tanaka reported. Chen nodded grimly. Fire. The fabric of space itself seemed to warp as the graviton cannon discharged. A concentrated beam of hyper-dense matter streaked towards Korzeth's ship, bending light around it as it traveled. Korzeth had just enough time for his eyes to widen in horror before the beam struck. But instead of the expected explosion, his ship simply imploded. The graviton beam collapsed the vessel in on itself, crumpling it like a tin can before reducing it to a dense ball of matter no larger than a pebble. A stunned silence fell over the battlefield. The coalition ships, those that were still operational, froze in place. On their view screens, the image of the Thunderchild loomed larger than ever, its main cannon still glowing with residual energy. Captain Chen's voice, calm but filled with authority, broadcast across all frequencies. "This demonstration is over. High Commander Zixifrik, Captain Korzeth's actions have cost lives on both sides. I urge you, one last time, to stand down. The next ship that fires upon us, or their fellow coalition vessels, will share Korzeth's fate. The choice is yours." On the coalition flagship, Zixifrik slumped in his command chair. The enormity of the situation washed over him. His mighty fleet, the pride of the Galactic Coalition, had been utterly outclassed by a single human vessel. And yet, these humans had shown remarkable restraint, disabling rather than destroying, even in the face of direct attacks. "Status report," he croaked, his voice barely above a whisper. His second-in-command, still in shock, responded automatically. 40% of the fleet is completely disabled. Another 30% has suffered significant damage to weapons or propulsion. The remaining 30% are combat-ready, but he trailed off, the unspoken words clear to all. But it wouldn't make a difference. Zixifrik turned to the young ensign who had shown such insight earlier. "Kralvor, was it? What were you going to suggest before we were so rudely interrupted?" Kralvor straightened, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Sir, I believe our best course of action is to accept the humans' offer of peace. They've demonstrated both overwhelming power and remarkable restraint. This is not an enemy we want, but an ally we need." The command center fell silent as all eyes turned to Zixifrik. The High Commander felt the weight of history on his shoulders. His decision in this moment would shape the future of not just the Coalition, but perhaps the entire galaxy. With a deep, rattling breath, Zixifrik made his choice. He opened a channel to the Thunderchild, his voice firm despite the tremor in his appendages. "Captain Chen," he began, "on behalf of the Galactic Coalition, I formally surrender. We request an immediate ceasefire and the opening of diplomatic channels. It seems we have much to discuss, and much to learn from each other." As Chen acknowledged the surrender, a palpable wave of relief washed over both fleets. The Battle of the Titans had ended not with the destruction of a civilization, but with the dawn of a new era of interstellar cooperation. The Thunderchild, humanity's greatest achievement, had not only won the day but had opened the door to a future filled with possibilities. As the human and alien crews began the process of securing their vessels and preparing for the complex negotiations ahead, one thing was clear: the galaxy would never be the same again. In the days following the dramatic confrontation between the HS Thunderchild and the Galactic Coalition fleet, a flurry of activity engulfed both human and alien vessels. The vast emptiness of space that had recently played host to a potential interstellar war now buzzed with shuttles ferrying diplomats, engineers, and medical personnel back and forth. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the Thunderchild, watching as coalition ships limped towards the massive human vessel for repairs. The irony wasn't lost on her. The very beings who had mocked their ship as a space-faring scrap heap were now dependent on its advanced facilities for survival. A soft chime announced the arrival of Commander Volkov. "Captain," she said, offering a datapad. "The latest status report." Chen took the pad, scanning its contents quickly. "Thank you, Alexandra. How are our guests settling in?" Volkov allowed herself a small smile. "As well as can be expected, given the circumstances. The medical bay reports that all critically injured coalition personnel are now stable, and you'll be pleased to know that young Ensign Kralvor has been particularly helpful in facilitating communication between our teams." Chen nodded approvingly. "Good. That one shows promise. Make sure he's included in the diplomatic talks. We'll need minds like his to bridge our cultures." As if on cue, the observation deck's door slid open, revealing High Commander Zexfric. The alien leader looked diminished somehow, his once proud posture now slightly hunched. Yet there was a new light in his many eyes, a mixture of humility and curiosity. "Captain Chen," he chittered, his translator converting the sounds into crisp English. "Might I have a word?" Chen gestured for Volkov to give them privacy. As her second-in-command left, she turned to face Zexfric. "Of course, High Commander. How can I help you?" Zexfric moved to stand beside her, his gaze fixed on the scene outside. I owe you an apology, Captain. My arrogance nearly cost both our peoples dearly. I've served the Coalition for many cycles, seen countless species rise and fall, but never have I been so thoroughly humbled." Chen's expression softened. "High Commander, there's no need to apologize. First contact situations are always fraught with danger and misunderstanding. What matters now is how we move forward." Zexfric turned to face her, his alien features arranged in what Chen was beginning to recognize as a smile. "Indeed, and that is why I'm here. Our preliminary talks have been promising, but I believe for true understanding to flourish, we need to go further." He paused, seeming to gather his thoughts. "I would like to formally invite a human delegation to our capital world, Harmonex Prime. Let the Coalition world see firsthand the species that has so dramatically altered the balance of power in our galaxy." Chen's eyebrows rose in surprise. This was an unprecedented offer, one that could change the course of human history. "That's a very generous proposal, High Commander. I'll need to consult with my superiors, but speaking personally, I believe this could be an excellent opportunity for both our peoples." As they continued to discuss the potential visit, activity on the observation deck increased. Engineers from both species huddled over holographic displays, excitedly comparing notes on technology. Medical personnel exchanged information on xenobiology, each side fascinated by the other's physiological quirks. In one corner, Ensign Kralvor was engaged in an animated discussion with Lieutenant Commander Tanaka. The young physics antennae waved enthusiastically as Tanaka explained the principles behind the Thunderchild's graviton cannon. "Remarkable," Kralvor exclaimed. "The applications for this technology go far beyond weaponry. Imagine using controlled gravitational fields for terraforming, or for safely extracting resources from gas giants." Tanaka grinned, caught up in the ensign's enthusiasm. "Exactly. And that's just the beginning. With our sciences combined, who knows what we could achieve?" As the days stretched into weeks, the initial tension between humans and aliens gave way to a cautious but growing camaraderie. The Thunderchild, once seen as a potential harbinger of destruction, became a symbol of unity and progress. News of the encounter spread rapidly through both human space and the Coalition worlds. On Earth, celebrations erupted as humanity realized it was no longer alone in the universe, and more than that, it was a technological equal, if not superior, to a vast galactic community. In the Coalition, reactions were mixed. Some worlds reacted with fear and calls for isolation, while others saw opportunity in this new paradigm. Debates raged in the coalition Senate, with progressive factions arguing for full diplomatic relations with humanity, while conservatives urged caution. Through it all, the crew of the Thunderchild worked tirelessly. They repaired coalition ships, shared, carefully vetted, technological insights, and laid the groundwork for future cooperation. Captain Chen found herself thrust into the role of not just a military leader, but a diplomat and cultural ambassador. Finally, after weeks of preparation, the day of departure arrived. The Thunderchild, fully restored to its awe-inspiring awakened state, prepared to escort a small fleet of coalition ships back to Harmonex Prime. A delegation of human diplomats, scientists, and cultural experts had arrived from Earth, eager to make the journey. As the ships prepared to enter faster-than-light travel, Captain Chen stood once again at the observation deck. High Commander Zixfrick joined her, their relationship now one of mutual respect and budding friendship. "Are you ready, Captain?" Zixfrick asked, his tone mixing excitement with a touch of lingering disbelief at the turn of events. Chen smiled, her eyes fixed on the star-studded expanse before them. "As ready as one can be when about to reshape the galaxy, High Commander." Zixfrick made a sound that Chen had learned was the physic equivalent of a chuckle. "Indeed. You know, when I woke up that fateful day, I never imagined I'd be escorting a ship full of primitive aliens to the heart of Coalition space. And I never thought I'd be making first contact by nearly starting an interstellar war," Chen replied wryly. "I suppose we've both learned not to make assumptions." As they shared a moment of companionable silence, Chen's comm unit chimed. "Captain," came Volkov's voice, "all systems are green. The coalition ships report ready for transit. We await your command." Chen took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. She was no longer just the captain of a ship, but a representative of her entire species, about to take humanity's first steps into a wider galactic community. "Very well," she said, her voice steady and clear. "Signal all ships. Initiate FTL jump on my mark." She paused, exchanging one last glance with Zixfrick, then spoke the words that would usher in a new era for both their civilizations. "Mark." In a dazzling display of light and energy, the Thunderchild and its coalition escorts vanished into the depths of space. They left behind a scene of recent conflict, but carried with them the hope for a peaceful and prosperous future. As news of the delegation's departure spread across Earth and the coalition worlds, beings of all species looked to the stars with a new sense of wonder and possibility. The galaxy, vast and ancient as it was, had been forever changed by the arrival of humanity and the awakening of the Thunderchild. The new galactic order was taking shape, built on the foundation of mutual respect, shared knowledge, and the understanding that in the grand cosmic dance, every species, no matter how seemingly primitive or advanced, had something valuable to contribute. And somewhere in the great expanse of the universe, other civilizations yet undiscovered looked up at their night skies, unaware that their own first contact with this new human coalition alliance was drawing ever closer, promising to usher in an age of exploration and cooperation unlike any the galaxy had ever seen.